Hey guys, I'm here today with the Pigtronix Echolution 3, and I've been wanting these for a little while now, especially since Do Noise. I will link in their channel below, and specifically the video on this pedal. I did a video on it, and I really liked it. Yeah, so I finally picked one up. It was on sale. It was $239 versus the $299, so I kind of jumped on it, and I've actually been having a lot of fun with it. It's very small, as you can see here. This is in comparison to the specular tempus. I'll be using that a little later. And it sounds great. The biggest thing, the question is it a replacement for the Strymon Dig? Because it is a multi-tap delay with 2 taps that can do golden ratio. I personally don't think so. The Dig does some of its own really cool things. It's a different pedal. The Dig, for instance, will do vintage voice delays. This doesn't do vintage. This has a very nice low pass filter. We'll listen to that. Another thing I'm going to go over, Do Noise reached out to me saying that one of their followers asked how to save presets on this, and I will go over how you save presets on this. It's really easy. So enough rambling. Let's get into the sounds that it can do. I have my Mini Log XD here. I just have a cool patch. It's like just a standard sawtooth wave, and yeah. So let's listen to it engaged. I have a single tap going right now, just normal time, things like that. Well, just listen. Just your standard digital delay, but it does sound really good. No modulation's in use yet. The second tap isn't used yet, and I don't have any stereo effects happening yet, but we'll get there. So the first thing you can really do is dial in a filter. So here the filter's completely bright right now. If you hear a little closely to that, it almost sounds like it has a resonant peak in it. But it does sound very nice. It's a very nice sounding low pass filter. You can do some really vintage style delays with this, almost bucket brigade-y, not as dark, but I'm gonna go ahead and set the tone control here. One thing I will say about the UI, I've noticed this is a bug. It's very interesting. When you reset this pedal, it'll be in the depth mode here. You use this button to change between tone, depth, and speed for the modulation. It'll be in depth mode, but the mod knob will not actually control depth. It'll default to speed even though it doesn't show speed. That's my only gripe about the actual hardware. So just remember, you'll probably want to go and swap to a different setting here to control something else before you get and control what you need to control. So yeah, we'll go into depth, and here's the depth all the way up for modulation. It adds a bit of a stereo image to it by itself, just in modulation, but we'll get to that soon with ping pong. If you can hear there on the repeats dying out, it has really lovely modulation. A little bit of a stereo spread, tiny bit. And I can turn up the speed. I like it around there. Kind of sounds a little vintagey, and it sounds really nice. So here are where the interesting things happen. So I'm going to add in a second tap. I already have a 3/4 subdivision on time. So by default, this just sets your subdivision. So here. Right, that's your subdivisions for tap, tempo, and the time knob. Now, if I hold this down, what'll happen is both lights will be on. It'll go to the next one over. Now, what'll happen is I have 2 taps. You'll hear that. One's 3/4. The other one is golden ratio. You hear those 2 taps. So yeah, kind of interesting there. I mean, if you're going to run this in mono, it has that capability to run 2 taps. Really cool. I'm going to hold down this button, which this does a lot of things, but if you hold it down, it'll have this Pong light come on. Now, as you can hear, we have a ping pong delay, and it has the golden ratio. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to turn down the modulation depth just a tiny bit. Okay, that sounds really good. Now we can turn the repeats up, give it a little bit of an ambient wash. Go a little further. Let me turn up the octave. Those repeats sound really cool. I really like that. So by default, I believe that this is set to tap, right? So this button will just tap in a tap tempo. You can go up to 5 seconds on the tap tempo. I don't remember how far the time goes. It might not go up to like 2 seconds with just the knob. It might be less than that. Oh, let's listen. It's not even a second, actually. Oh, that's probably because I'm in 3/4. Just like an analog delay, though, the delay line changes pitch. So that's going to be a thing. That's kind of a spoiler, but yeah. So, but with tap tempo, you can tap into like 5 seconds. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that's not 5 seconds, but you can see what I mean. To get out of tap tempo, you can just change time again. So yeah, beautiful sounding delay so far. Here's where some of the other things come in. We have a reverse mode. I'm not a big fan of the reverse mode. You can do a fully wet reverse on this, but you have to go into some extra settings to do it. The mix knob is a little weird on here. So the mix knob, it's all the way up. This is the volume control for the wet signal. So here. It doesn't go 100% wet using the mix knob. You have to set a setting that kills dry in order to do 100% wet. It will do 100% wet, but it's not with the mix knob like on a lot of other delays. Be aware of that. I kind of like the mix knob like this. It's just something to be aware of. So yeah, we're going to do reverse. The problem with the reverse I have, while in a lot of contexts it can sound really nice, there's a clear definition of where it cuts off the sample, so it kind of has a click to it. So I have this, you just switch this to reverse, and now the tap tempo is not tap tempo anymore. It becomes control for this. You can use an external foot switch. The Do Noise video that I'll have linked below shows how to deal with that, but here we go. Now I have reverse. Tap tempo is my reverse switch. Can you hear that click? That's where the sample ends. That can be kind of annoying, but you know, you could use that for rhythmic possibilities too, honestly. It depends. In a few contexts, I can see myself actually using that, but it's just an annoyance to be aware of. But hey, that's reverse ping pong. That's really cool with a good low pass filter. And really good sounding modulation, in my opinion. So yeah, now I'm going to go back into forward. The next thing I was telling you about the time changing pitch, well, there's a jump mode which actually adds a pitch effect to it. You can kind of hear the sample hold spots for that too there. It's not as dramatic. Kind of messed up there, sorry, but there you go, we got a pitch effect. But I can add a reverse and the pitch effect together. And ping pong all at the same time. This will also just work in mono, so. But yeah, back into ping pong. So that's what makes this very interesting as a pedal. It has so much stuff underneath it. There's also some cool settings you can deal with MIDI. So this has MIDI over TRS, and this has MIDI over USB. I think it has MIDI over USB, but it definitely has MIDI over TRS. There's a little switch in the back that lets you change the the foot switch input to MIDI. So there's some functionality, like you can change the volume level of the second tap, for instance. You can change into what's called halo mode, which is like the jump mode, but it puts the pitch shifter inside of the feedback loop, so you get that cascading pitch shift and things like that. But yeah, it's a really cool sounding pedal. So you see the specular tempus over here. I have the spatium setting on here, and I have not done a video on the specular tempus by itself. I really should. I don't think the reverb is all that spectacular on its own, but if you put a really nice modulated delay in front of it, it really shines and becomes a good thing. So here, I'm going to turn off the reverb. Whoops, that turns off Pong, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off reverse. I'll turn off jump. So I'm going to turn on the spatium. That's summing to mono in order to add the reverb algorithm, but it's also passing through the ping pong at the same time, so it makes a really cool effect. So kind of like in the center you have the reverb effect, which has its own stereo spread add to it, and then you have the ping pong on top of that, so it sounds pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Can add the jump effect in. And then reverse as well. So yeah, let's really quick here. How do I save a preset? It's really easy. So to save a preset, you got preset buttons here. What you do is you hold down until that light starts blinking. Now I can choose a preset slot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose preset slot 2. And now you hold down until it stops blinking. Now it's in preset slot 2. To engage a preset, let's go to 1, all right? You pick a preset with this button, you scroll through, press engage, now you're in preset 1. Alright, so that doesn't sound like anything I was just working on, but here, we'll go to 2, the one I just saved. Press the engage button to go to preset 2 after I pick it. And there's my preset. So that's simple. Really nice preset system. There's another way to deal with the preset system as well. I think you hold down tempo. Yeah, so you hold down tempo and now you're in preset scroll mode. Then you just, go through the tempo switch until you pick the preset you want, and then you press engage, so you can do it with your feet as well. So yeah, if I switch over to 2 here, there we go. All right, let's go to a pad. I have a pad here. Let's turn off the reverb there, but I just wanted to let you listen to what a pad sounds like. So what you can hear there is, like I said, with how the reversing works, is you're cutting off. You can definitely hear where it cuts off the sample point, which that could be rhythmic. That's where I was saying that, hey, in some cases it could be rhythmic, and like in this case, it is. Got to be careful there because this is going to clip otherwise. Yeah. But yeah, it can be very fun. So yeah, that's my look at the Echolution 3. I think it's a pretty cool pedal for what it is, especially because I've seen it on sale quite a few times. I got it for $239. I've seen it as low as $199. If you're looking for something a little different and need a stereo multi-tap delay, it's something worthwhile to look at. I will say I had a few UI bugs here and there because yeah, it just does. It is firmware updatable though, so in theory they could go in and fix that. It has a USB port, so they should be able to firmware update it. The UI bugs I was talking about, by default, the speed is loaded even if this shows something different when you reboot the pedal. But that's mainly the only other issue. The other issue, I've had the pedal crash when I plugged in a TRS, what is it? Oh, one of these things. Jeez, why can I not think of the name? A foot switch. I've had the pedal crash by plugging in a foot switch by accidentally holding down both at the same time while I was like plugging it in. And then I plugged in a thing at the same time. So I was like pushing it in. Yeah, it was awkward. But then it decided it wasn't going to pass audio until I rebooted. So I was able to reproduce that. So I think it's just an issue with me doing that. Maybe it didn't even crash. Maybe it just muted it some weird way. So yeah, just those are the two issues I've had with it. Other than that, it's been pretty great. It's pretty low on the power input draw. It's like it uses 100 milliamps, which is kind of insane for how powerful it is. That's like nothing. But yeah, cool. Again, hey, thanks for watching my channel and things like that. I'm still like chuffed about the 2,000 followers. Now it's actually a little bit more, but thanks for watching.